All right, we want to welcome you all to the August session of the Commission of Wildlife, Fisheries, and Parks for the state of Mississippi. And thank everybody for being here today. I don't know that we have any visitors under our current COVID regulations, requirements. But we would like to start out this morning with opening prayer by Reverend Cook.
Pray with me, please. Dear Lord, you are our refuge and our strength. You are a present helper in the time of trial. And dear Lord, we come before you today, as always, giving you thanks first and foremost for the abundance of your blessings. In spite of ourselves, you continue to love us and you continue to bless us and you continue to supply our every need. And oh Lord, we ask that you would be with us in your spirit as we undertake the business matters of this day. Superintend over the decisions we make, that all that we do and all that we say will be pleasing and acceptable in your holy sight. And dear Lord, we pray for our nation as we continue to struggle with this pandemic. We pray for our leaders, that they may make decisions in the best interests of your people. We pray for the state of Mississippi, dear Lord, and its leaders, that they may be crowned with wisdom and knowledge to do those things that would be in the best interest of this state and all of her people. Bless all of those who are gathered here. Bless and protect the men and women of Mississippi Department of Wildlife, Fisheries, and Park as they continue to carry out your mandate to have dominion over your creation. And we will be forever mindful to give you the honor, the glory, and the praise, and consider all of these things done according to your holy will. Amen.
All right, if you've reviewed the minutes from July 16th, has everyone reviewed the minutes?
Motion to accept.
Second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion passes. Thank you. I don't see any agenda for public comment. Do we have public comment this morning?
No, sir.
That's amazing. All right, so now we got a license sale report from Jason Thompson. Obviously, it's going to be good. You know, with Michael not being here, who's going to be your bad reporter now? You're going to have to do it all now.
All the reports are going to be good now.
You're going to get it.
It's gonna be the best fall ever. License sales, no college sports hardly.
Well, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, again, we're off to a good start for this fiscal year. In our July report, revenue is up 17% compared to last July. Resident license sales are up 13%. A couple of licenses to mention: sportsman's license 11%, the all game license 25%, small game freshwater fishing up 12%, and WMA permits are up 9%. Non-resident license sales are up 33% from last year. 3 of the freshwater fishing licenses are up the annual 37%, the 3-day license up 20%, and the 1-day 3%. In our permit category, we're up 29%, and lifetime licenses are down 5%. We now have over 30,000 WMA app downloads. 22,788 of them are iOS users, and 7,432 are Android users.
So will we clear that to get actual data from this year? I mean, are you doing that on an annual basis, or how are you going to do that?
That's since we started. Now we can start doing it on an annual.
I think you
if you
probably
want to do it
should. That way we can do some trends and know where
Yes, sir.
our WMAs are.
Okay, we can do that. And so far, we've had 69,169 customers to sign up for auto renewal.
That's excellent.
That's outstanding, man.
And for this month, or July, we had 2,833 to sign up. And as of August, we've sold over 9,000 license packages.
Wow. So Jason, from the standpoint of, I know because of COVID, we had a backlog in the voting registrations and that type of thing, but
Yes.
with no sports, no tailgating, no all that, this will be probably the largest year in hunting, in my opinion, that we've had, I think, ever. that we should track. I
Should
believe
be.
it will be.
It's the only thing left to do.
And so my only question to you is, are we prepared for that influx so we don't get caught from a license sales standpoint?
The licenses will be fine.
good.
We have 450 agents out in the field. We have the online portal for buying,
It's gonna
hunting, and
be big.
fishing, the mobile app, so we should be fine there.
Chief, then it'll come to you, is you ready for this? Because it's gonna be big.
I want you to talk about, because of COVID, we got, behind in boating registration.
Mhm.
And, we had projected it would take 3 months to catch up, it took a month.
Took only
Maybe
30
we'll
days.
Go over that a little bit. Just-
30 days. We brought some people in to kind of help with that process, and we set it up where we had several people downstairs opening mail to help us out with that process, scanning and indexing. We had several ladies here in our department processing the mail. So again, it took 30 days.
That's
We
fantastic.
started out with 17 trays of mail, and
And a tray of mail has about 700.
700 apiece.
So let me ask you this, Jason. So I know because of boating registration, you have to have some physical documents. Would we not accept scanned copies of those documents?
Currently working on it with our vendor right now, so we can have an online process.
So if we could totally, I mean, it seems like to me our goal needs to be to get that, that's the only thing we have except for alligator permits. I think.
Alligator on there.
It's at all? No. Oh, it's private land alligator. There's a lot of information that you gotta get.
Right.
But that's the only thing that we don't have, if I'm not mistaken now, correct me if I'm wrong, that's not where we can do it 100% online.
Yeah, now we have, disability documentations, but they can still go to one of our MDWFP locations to do that. But we don't have very many of those, but the boating application is the big thing
big
with the documents, yes.
So if we could get that somehow to where we could do it all online, it would be tremendous.
Yes, and we're now having meetings with our vendor now about it, so.
That's good. All right, anybody
Is
else?
any, since it will be, obviously a lot of people getting licenses, is any vehicles to get it out more in the social media or anything? Because I kind of promote it in a way, because the more people you can capture
Exactly.
this year, and again, with auto renewal, it'll help in future years.
Yeah, I think each
Do we
month,
have any
there-
vehicles to do that? I don't know what budget we have or what's available to.
I think emails are going out. We're doing some things on social media currently, getting the word out. So our marketing team has done a good job over the last several months promoting some of the things. that we're
And if we
doing
could
to
promote
license.
that with the link so that all they gotta do is touch it to go buy a license, that would be
Yes.
awesome.
Yes.
I met with marketing and I just wrote down a couple of ideas. And, hike and camp at State Park.
Absolutely.
Emphasize that. No football, no tailgating. Come join us in the woods. No better way to social distancing than hunting and fishing.
Come join us in the parks.
Come join us in the parks. Buy your motor home. Got campgrounds statewide.
Canoeing, kayaking,
Yeah.
biking.
So we're working on that, and I think that we're about 2 weeks behind on, really.
Yeah, that should be out there now.
People can do it, but the more awareness, it's a good opportunity for people to be thinking about it.
Yeah.
They'll say, well, I can't go to
What can I
tailgate, so what am I gonna do this weekend? They say, let's go to the state park, or,
That's right.
and people gonna be at the hunting camps, just hanging out, yeah,
Should be a good year.
yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
Jason. Good report. All right, Russ?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. A couple of things today. One will be Rule 8.2, which is regulation for enclosures preventing the free ingress and egress of white-tailed deer. So during the 2020 legislative session, Senate Bill 2722 passed, which requires mandatory testing for all harvested deer from a high-fenced enclosure. So we will need to update Rule 8.2 to reflect that statutory change. So in the proposed Rule 8.2 before you, we have updated that language, And I'll be glad to go through that or read that if you'd like me to, Mr. Chairman.
I think it'd be worthwhile.
Okay. On July 1st, 2020, Senate Bill 2722 went into effect, mandating that all harvested deer inside a high-fence enclosure shall be tested for chronic wasting disease. The first violation of this requirement shall be a Class 2 violation punishable upon conviction. Subsequent violations of this requirement shall be Class 1 violation punishable upon conviction as provided in Mississippi Code. So
that means that if they don't submit those samples, a Class 1 means what? What's the fine?
$2,500, minimum $2,500. And that's the second offense. First offense is
Second.
Class 2.
And class one violation also results in loss of license.
First violation's a Class 2, which is what?
250, 500.
Steve, to enforce that, you have to, like, give them a citation, then it has to go for a judge for the first violation?
Yes, sir. Once there's actually a conviction, which will be in our database.
So once there's a conviction, then that'll be in the record, and if they have a second violation, it goes to Class 1, and then you would have to go prove the case before the judge, or they would, and then once,
Well, we automatically would write in a class one violation, and then taking that conviction of the first class one, or the first class two violation would be your evidence to carry it to the first. And you're gonna have some that are gonna try to get that first one expunged.
Right.
If it is. But we'll be able to track that. We do the same thing now for people who get, for instance, the individual that you had problems with that get 2 citations within a year, and we can bring that full commission and have their license revoked. This will work the same way. We'll track it the same way.
So,
So this should be this should really have a deterrent effect for people not being in compliance.
I would think so. Well, you know, a lot of these people have got the money to pay a fine, but they're not gonna like the loss of their hunting license.
so, okay, well, that's a question for you, the way that's written. So, who will get the ticket?
The owner,
The owner will get the ticket. Is that clear? Not necessarily the shooter,
it'd be the owner.
the owner.
Yeah, the owner is managing.
But-
Okay.
So-
It doesn't really say that.
Yeah.
But the facility would still be licensed.
You know, the shooter really wouldn't have anything to do with it there. It's
Right.
the owner of that facility is responsible for it.
Well, that just needs to be clear.
Because the requirement is for the registered facility, and the registered facility is with the enclosure owner.
Okay.
Yeah, this doesn't have anything to do with killing deer. It has to do
Reporting.
with the registration and management of the high fence.
Correct.
That when he chose to do that, he took that responsibility.
I got it.
He was responsible for
Just being clear. So mechanically, somebody kills a big deer, trophy deer. I mean, it's this once in a lifetime deal. Gonna get it mounted.
I did inside of.
Right. So, how does that work with a trophy deer and getting a sample?
Taxidermists.
Right, and we can work with that enclosure owner or their taxidermist to pull that sample. We work with multiple taxidermists already and getting a pretty good volume of samples from them across the state, so
Got it.
no hill decline.
So the facility, say they had the Class 2 violation and the Class 1, the facility would then be under quarantine or probation?
It could be, that would have to be brought forth to you for that decision, but it wouldn't be automatic.
So Russ, are you through telling us about this, or, because, I mean, there's a question about what we're striking.
Correct, in the current language of the rule, the language states that up to 10 deer must be submitted annually. So basically puts a minimum number on that enclosure. With the language from the statute, now it states that all harvested deer. So
So what if somebody doesn't harvest deer?
That's correct. So we would need to reconcile a base requirement for these enclosures, and that's something we would bring back to you to put in the rule or amend the rule.
So there'll be more to this, even beyond this. There will be, because we're losing the intent to have a minimum sample. And
That's
so
correct.
you're gonna come back with language that creates a minimum sample that we'll have to look at in addition to
Correct.
this.
Yes,
That
sir.
we're not covering today.
That's correct. Basically, we're covering the statute change today.
All right. Any other questions? Now, this will go out for 30-day comment, correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
I move staff recommendation.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Second thing, Mr. Chairman, as it pertains to high fence enclosures, so based on the rule, enclosures should be submitting, again, up to 10 samples per year. We have had some enclosures that had not submitted samples. So for 36 of these enclosures that did not submit samples for the 2019 and 20 hunting season, our recommendation is to put an administrative quarantine on those enclosures, and our staff will work with their biologists and the owners to determine an appropriate number of samples to be collected to bring them into compliance with the rule and to take them out from under administrative quarantine. That would happen over the next hunting season, 2020-21.
So, let's talk about that. So, by putting them under quarantine, all right, so if they're under quarantine, what does that mean today? They're under basically probation. It doesn't mean that they are not gonna be able to hunt their enclosure.
We need them to hunt.
We need them to hunt.
That's right, that's correct.
It means that, so you're gonna, there's 36 owners here that are gonna be put under quarantine that have got to comply
That's
to
correct.
to come out from under quarantine. If they don't come out from under quarantine, then what happens?
Then we would coordinate collection of those samples.
We go in and take the samples.
That's correct.
What if they say, no, you're not gonna come in my place to take samples? We have that authority, right?
That's correct. Yeah, those
Okay.
four.
Okay.
On one of these that I see on this list, that individual's talking about decommissioning that high fence. I'm just saying one that I know
Yes, sir.
on this list.
Mhm.
So what's the process there? What, in other words, they're not gonna wanna go into quarantine, they wanna say, I wanna decommission. So at that time, what would our steps be?
Well, if they wanna decommission, you gotta kill them all in the fence.
Yeah, but yeah.
So why wouldn't they want us sent?
No, what I'm
Thirty
asking
percent.
is, what is the procedure? The question was, do they go into quarantine and then have to do something besides harvest a deer, or can they go into quarantine, then we go in there and take all the deer, my understanding? They don't take them at that time?
If they don't comply with the quarantine, yes, sir, we go in and take the deer. If they don't comply.
Well, I mean, they're gonna ask to decommission.
Okay.
So then it's the next step would be, okay, we're gonna have to harvest all the deer in there and take samples. They will have to do it, or we're gonna do it?
They can do it.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
So, again, there's different scenarios. This is not a carte blanche. You're under quarantine and you have to do this. Every situation is potentially different, correct?
So for the 36 enclosures.
Yes.
There would be different densities of deer, and so the number of deer collected would be different per enclosure.
And let's just say that somebody reasonably, I mean, I don't know what the scenario, they're starting a high fence or whatever, but there's reasonable, that we would deem as reasonable reasons why they wouldn't want to take a sample. You would work with them on that if it was reasonable.
Correct. But all of them are gonna have
They need to be
a
sampled.
number of deer to be sampled.
And they've been there long enough to,
Correct.
is there action on it? I mean, do we have to have action on this?
Did he make a second?
On what?
Quarantine?
Quarantine, we didn't have.
We didn't make we haven't
did
asked for a
we?
motion
Okay.
yet. I mean, what I'm asking is does this is gonna take a vote? Okay,
I think it does.
Yes.
Yes,
okay.
Is this the Gary Rhodes that we know,
yeah,
the mayor of Flowood?
yeah.
You're on the
Is
record.
this- Is this the Brett Favre that we
Bill,
know?
Yeah.
Bill, Bill,
You on the record?
don't mean that.
Well, it's a public record.
Oh,
No.
It's an investigation, exclude, from public record until such time is resolved.
okay. So, so we need to call for a motion? That we would, what would how should the motion be stated? Motion be stated that we will put these under quarantine, administrative quarantine,
Yes,
until they come into compliance?
yes.
Is that what
You're
we're
doing
saying?
good.
So the motion would be to put these 36 enclosures under administrative quarantine until they come until they come into compliance under the conference with wildlife staff.
For this, for 2020, 2021 hunting season, they would be in administrative quarantine.
That doesn't mean they can't use the facilities,
That's correct.
because we want them. We actually, what we're looking for is the samples.
The requirement would be to collect.
Of course, the rules have changed, so it shouldn't be an issue because you don't have any choice, because you're gonna get in big trouble if you don't take the samples and get them done.
So we would work with them to determine the appropriate number of samples.
Well, that was a form of suggested motion.
That was a suggestion for a motion.
Yeah, so I'll make the motion to, according to that language we just talked about, that we adopt these rules for quarantine.
We have a second?
I'll make a second.
Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
So I assume the staff has the language
Yes.
for that motion.
Right.
And that will be then put out for 30-day
30
comment.
days, that's
Yeah.
correct.
This is gonna be put out for 30 days? The quarantine will be put out for 30 days? No.
No, that's quarantine.
Oh, it's a rule.
The rule, yeah, yeah, yeah.
The first part, the other
Yeah.
motion.
Okay. Colonel?
Our citation report for the month of July kind of coincides with our license sales. Actually, this is the first month in, as long as I can remember, that no license citations are not number one. We had 46 no license citations, and trespassing beat it by 48. That's going to be a lot of those due to ATV traffic down south, trespassing on the roads.
Why's everybody look at me?
Is that, basically,
They do around here too, don't worry
that's
about
what the trespassers is doing, riding the
Riding these creeks,
ATVs.
right. And then they're particularly riding in the ones in South Mississippi, the real pristine, pretty clear creeks.
Oh, listen to that.
All right.
Does that help things? Like,
Appreciate that, Colonel.
Colonel, what are the trespassing, the penalties for that is up to $500? Is it
it's a two-part penalty. I think the first one is, there's actually two different, there's one is a 25, and then I think one is 250 and can go to 500.
it's as low as $25?
Right.
Yeah, what, okay, the one in, that's 250, is that right, trespassing in streams?
Yes, sir.
And the other one's just general trespass?
Just general trespass. There's two different codes. I would have to look those up. Several photos in here. You got officers are performing 1061 checks, which they go and we, part of what they have to do daily is go check on our agency facilities. They checked on one yesterday morning and found it had been broken into. That's the purpose, trying to keep issues down that we have in some of these parks and management areas and places like that. We had a hunting incident, Clark County, 14-year-old hog hunting, had accidentally shot himself. The working accident report, or accident scene there. Stolen boat, we have actually recovered several stolen boats this month.
On the accident, did the person fall?
No, sir. No, sir. He, 14-year-old shot himself with a .22 rifle.
I mean,
Did he make it? I mean,
He was at, no,
He did not make
no.
it.
He was at a deer stand. We think he was propped up on the gun.
oh, man.
Lieutenant Norman and Hunter Hall, they've been banding ducks. You'll see some pictures there. They do this every year. They've banded 63 wood ducks to date.
Where do they do that? What county is that?
This is over in the east central part of the state where they do, where those were done. Customer counts are good on all the shooting ranges. Turcotte 966 and McIver 402 and McHenry 520.
When are we coming with the sporting play range at McHenry?
Scotty has gotten a lot of the engineering stuff done. I think some drawings done, but it is moving. I think he's gotten into the grant too, I believe.
Has the foundation contacted Winchester at all regarding that one? From your report, I was planning on talking to him about it.
I've got 2 individuals to bring forward today that are requesting their license. First one, Alan Allred.
What's the difference in their reinstatement fee?
One was 21, under 21, 21 and under is 250, over 21 is 500. This is Alan. He has completed his hunter education. He has satisfied the court. I'm gonna let him tell you his story.
And I think it was November 2018, me and some of my friends that I used to hang out with went to Claiborne County, which is like an hour maybe from where we lived at. And I was driving, we were in my truck, and my buddy at the time, he actually shot a deer off side of the road, and when he did, I got out the truck, me and him and another guy, and went to go get the deer. And at that time, my girlfriend, she drove the truck down the road and was gonna turn around and pick us up. And when that happened, that's when she got pulled over. Well, I actually came out of the woods and I turned myself in and went to jail. My 2 buddies at the time, they stayed in the woods, and it took them several hours, but they eventually got caught and they got their tickets as well. But I learned a lot from it. I'm really looking back, like I told my wife now, I'm a totally different person. I'm actually glad I got caught because it made me realize how wrong I was doing and everything.
You go to Claiborne County Jail, they take you to jail?
Well, they took us there and we just done some paperwork and we.
You didn't actually get put into Claiborne County?
What roads were you on where you were doing, they were shooting the deer or whatever?
It was, I'm not sure the name of the road, it was in between Claiborne County and the nuclear power plant.
They were right in next to the Grand Gulf nuclear
Yeah.
plant.
I'm not sure the name of that road though.
Were you hunting on the energy property or the
No, sir, it was on somebody else's land, it wasn't that
private,
close.
private land?
Yes, sir.
But y'all just weren't riding down the road and your buddy shot a deer. Y'all all went to shoot a deer.
No, sir, he's the only one that had a gun at that time.
In your truck.
Yes, sir.
I mean, was the mission to go out and shoot
The
a deer?
mission was to go shoot a
Yes,
deer.
the mission
That's-
was
that's
to
the-
go shoot.
That's my
Yes.
point.
Yes, sir.
So you realize if you're at night and you have a loaded gun in your truck, you're guilty.
Yes, sir.
whether you shoot a deer or not. I mean, that,
Right.
you're not
Yeah,
supposed to
looking
have
back,
them.
it was very,
You're not
very
supposed to
dangerous and
have no
slippery.
loaded gun in your truck.
Yes, sir.
So I noticed you made the statement that buddies that you used to hang out with.
Right. I don't hardly drink anymore. I used to be a heavy drinker and I was in the oil field, but now my wife, she owns a business where we live at, so that's all we do is work. And
What business you doing now?
she owns a spray tan business. She also owns a teeth whitening business.
Is that down in Claiborne County or?
It's in actually, Summit, Mississippi. That's where we live at.
Oh,
Pike County, sir, that's fine.
Yes,
Like-
sir.
How much did it cost you? Total?
I'd say over 2,000. I don't know. Yeah, it was a good deal.
Make a
So-
motion
It
to
cost me way
reinstate.
more than that though, because it cost me all this time without my license.
Ask
I
Colonel.
believe he's learned his lesson.
Colonel, is this the story?
Is that about what?
My recommendation, and the story is pretty close to the truth. And the other two individuals stayed in the woods. When the officer hollered for them to come out, this one came out. The other two didn't, but they knew what kind of vehicle that they would be in, and I think they set up in 2 or 3 places, and they had called someone to meet them at McDonald's, and they walked out. And so anyway, we caught them a short time later, and they were taken to jail also,
So what were they charged with?
headlining.
Same thing.
Everybody
They
was
got the
charged.
same tickets as we
They
got.
wouldn't be charged for fleeing from an office?
They didn't get charged with
No,
it.
sir.
They couldn't have been?
Well, they were on foot, and they just didn't answer the officer, so if he didn't actually see
Yes,
them
sir.
fleeing from them.
I would charge. That's why I wanted to bring it up.
It was obviously they were trying
They were trying to evade
They don't
all
live in
arrest.
the woods.
They would have really.
So what-
I would charge.
So what's your recommendation?
I recommend that if he gets another citation within the next year, that we revoke his license again and he completes the full 3 years. Also, if he gets another citation for headlighting, that we do not give his license back.
I don't think we'll have to worry about that.
Don't worry about that.
We won't see you again.
Nice, sir.
Motion to reinstate.
I'll second.
Thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Good luck to you.
Don't let us see you in this again.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
I think he's about as
He
old as
definitely-
anybody else who wanna say it.
Next, I have Adam Clay.
And he's a young boy. He ain't even 20 years old yet.
Mr. Chairman, his rifle was also forfeited in the process.
Well, they don't get that back at all, ever, unless it gets expunged.
No, I mean, usually it's they borrow somebody's gun.
Yeah.
Hello, Adam.
Are you?
That's right.
Mr. Clay also has paid his, or satisfied the court. He has retaken Hunter education. I'm gonna let him tell you his story.
I was going down the road, seen a really nice deer, it was just standing in the field, and I thought, at the time, you know, I was still young, so I shot at it, missed it and left, somebody called my tag in, I was going home, got pulled over, got in trouble, paid my fines, and I was like, I need to straighten up, do right, get my license back.
So this was during the day?
No, sir.
Is it night?
Yes, sir.
How did you see it in the field? Through your headlight?
Yes, sir, just my headlights.
It didn't have a spotlight?
No, sir.
Okay.
But you turned to the field to look to see if there was a deer there.
Yes, sir, I just come.
He wasn't just standing there and
Sir?
you went to shoot a deer.
Well, I originally left the house just to go get something to eat, and I had a buddy of mine with me. He was like, hey, let's go over here. I killed a deer over here the other day. So we went over there, and they was standing there, and I catty-cornered my truck in the road.
You sure you missed it?
Yes, sir.
Did you go look?
I didn't, but I heard the bullet kind of echo and just keep going, and then one of the game wardens had went and looked, and he didn't see nothing either.
Well,
Where do you think that bullet might have landed?
I have no clue.
There you go. Think about that. What if there was a house or a person or something else behind it at night?
yeah, so what,
Because
that
you
was,
didn't know.
that was our question was what have you learned about shooting a gun at night like that? What is it?
Nothing safe, you don't know what's out there, you don't know, somebody might be just walking around, or there might be cattle.
Yeah. This was during hunting season?
Yes, sir, it was.
What time of night was it?
I really don't remember, I know it was roughly around 9 o'clock, 9:30.
That's right, you could've killed somebody, either somebody shot a deer and they were tracking it back there, walking around in the woods, or somebody. You just don't know what's beyond the target if you shoot.
How much does it cost?
$2,120.50.
You know it.
He knows it.
You paid it. Your folks didn't pay it, you paid it?
Right, I had to set it up on a monthly thing and pay so much every month, just like a regular bill.
That hurt a little bit?
Tremendously. It's like just throwing it away, and then it's like, well, you learn from it, you know? And that's why I was throwing that game warden out there. I'd rather it happen then, while I was young and didn't get out of control.
Are you in school now or working or?
I was in school, and I'm just working full
Okay.
time.
Got any more to add?
No, sir. That's basically it. I recommend that, we, let him have his license back. However, if he gets another citation in the next year, that we revoke his license, he completes his 3-year, stint. And, in addition, if he gets brought before, comes before this commission again on headlighting, that we do not consider giving his license back.
We're not gonna see you again, are we?
No, sir.
What say y'all?
I'm not, yeah, second the motion.
Reinstate.
Second the motion, reinstate.
Any more discussion?
What about the guy that's with you?
They got him, and like, we've been trying to do this, we've had our bonds paid off since January. And we've been trying to figure out, we've been talking to Robert Collins, Richard Stevens, and Eric Ferris all. And it's like, they don't really know exactly how to go about it. And, some tell us one thing, some tell us another, and then we call, and it's not right. And I just so happened, I just bought a new truck, and I bought it from a game warden in Houston. And I just stopped him right there, I was like, do you happen to know exactly what to do? And he said, you gotta take the class online and everything else. Well, then I just Googled the Mississippi Department of Wildlife and talked to Miss Evelyn, and she sent me an email with step by step. Then I screenshot the email, sent it to him. Been trying to push him to go ahead and get this 100 safety course done so that he can get this part done. And he just didn't get it done in time to get here.
So he would have normally been with you, I mean, to get reinstated, but
Yes, sir.
he just hadn't done the paperwork yet.
Right.
But he's gonna get reinstated. We'll
Yes,
be
sir.
looking for another one for Pontotoc, I reckon.
Yes, sir.
So there's a motion on the table and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. Don't let us see you again.
Yes, sir.
Be safe.
Mr. Chairman, before we go to the next, I'm gonna see if we could get a CWD report, Russ or William. Could y'all give us a report on CWD sampling, or what else has been going on this summer, or what's been going on in the fall? As far as, I know you've had some samples, any more positives, any other?
We actually had an additional positive come in from a farm that has already had positives come off of it.
Those one up north, Benton County.
Benton County is great. Had another one come off that same farm last week.
Yes. It just made it to the lab this week, so we should get the results tomorrow on that.
So that would give us 56 positive deer from the state. Just taking roadkill samples or sick deer calls pretty much this summer, sampling for the hunt season. And that was one thing we were gonna try to do actually next month for the education session, is give you all a rundown of what the next season's going to look like with mandatory sampling as well as volunteer sampling and all the processes there. It's going to be fairly involved for this coming season.
You have the deal about within 3 miles of a positive, weapon of choice or something to shoot.
That's right. So within 3 miles of a confirmed positive, landowners around that positive animal can apply for what we're calling CWD DMAP. And they can receive tags to harvest deer in addition to their bag limit, as well as harvest weapon of choice beginning October 1. And so the goal of that is to try to reduce deer densities around these positive detections, because that's an effective tool to mitigate spread of diseases.
How are we putting the word out on that?
So we have looked at, through our DMAP system, as well as our private lands contact system, and just local contacts, we've looked at the landowners around those positives, and we are trying to go directly to those landowners and visit with them one-on-one about this program, and the opportunity there. And we're going to try to basically build it kind of from the ground up. And then we'll, as we get into it and work the bugs out, and we can be more advertising of it, but we're trying to go kind of hand-to-hand combat for this year.
So we have the one in Panola County, that was in the middle of Batesville. Was that east interstate or west interstate?
West.
So it was
No, if it's Walmart, it's east of the interstate.
It was at Walgreens.
Walgreens.
Walgreens, I thought
It was
Walgreens.
it's right where Highway 8 and 51 intersect, right, more or less?
No,
No.
not 8. Oh, yeah, it could,
Walgreens. Pharmacy, it says west of Interstate 55.
be number 6.
6.
6 and 51.
Yeah, 6 and 51.
Yeah,
So, for example, I'm just example. So what you do is 3 miles from that, draw a circle, and try to get the word out. And around Batesville, basically, is that one, correct, for example. And then the South Tallahatchie one, which is, because that was just one positive, and you could do that. And then the Pontotoc one. So you would contact DMAP and let people know there. And of course, Ben in
Around
Marshall
every,
County,
around every single positive? Every single positive.
And then the Ben and Marshall, there's so many up there, but you just try to get the word out generally up that area.
That's the beauty of our private lands database system, is we got a good number of contacts already, so we can get folks fairly quickly.
And then we'll have the weekends where you have the sampling,
Opening weekend?
mandatory sampling in certain, where the areas where you have it. Opening weekend for the north zone. Opening weekend of gun season.
Right, and the city of Big Guns, in southwest Mississippi and southeast Mississippi in January.
Right. So you'll tell us about it next month, but those are, right now, that's what's on the table. And that's where we are, so. Okay, thanks.
All right, so now we're going to move on to other business. Looks like we have some information that we need to talk about on other business. From the ESO?
Yes, sir, we're going with ESO now for Executive Staff Officer. Good morning, Mr. Chairman and Commissioner. I guess probably one of the easiest ways to figure out if people are reading your publications is when they start calling in asking questions. And the 2020-2021 Outdoor Digest is currently out there. You should have in your books a copy of a memo that I issued to the chairman. If you'll flip over to that second page, this is a copy of the page in question. And I've highlighted a statement there. This is what we're getting a lot of calls about currently. And that statement's very simple. It says, air guns may be used on private lands during open gun seasons. Now, the misleading or the misinterpreted part of that is we're getting questions from the general public saying, does that mean we can use air guns to hunt deer? What it means, and you've got to look above that, the paragraph that talks about any lawful weapon of choice on private lands, that's what it's supposed to relate back to. That if you otherwise qualify to use any weapon of choice, which is after November 30th, and you're hunting on private land, then whatever you want to use to hunt deer with, you can use. That's the context of where air guns are lawful. So
But,
we're trying to clarify that because we expect y'all will be getting calls. Yes, sir.
the question is there a minimum on the caliber?
There's not a minimum caliber on any of it, firearm or air.
So the questions from people was about whether they could use an air gun before gun season, or what type of questions were you getting?
All kinds. Questions about air bows, air guns, when they can use them. Can they use them on public lands? And that is absolutely no.
So for
There's nothing.
clarification, yeah, I'm sorry, it's private lands after November 30th.
Yes, sir.
So the air bows, people have tried to use them during archery season, and that's
No.
it's not legal, we know that.
No.
No, sir. There was a bill that would allow that,
was
that
killed.
never made it out of committee, I believe. No, it didn't make it off the floor. It did make it out of committee.
So that the 35 caliber or larger doesn't apply here?
Only to a muzzle loader,
Yeah, that's only to muzzle
breech loader, single shot.
Well, just question. I thought we had minimum, I thought like you couldn't go kill a deer with a 22.
Okay,
Huh?
okay,
You can now?
yes, sir.
Did
No,
we
you
ever
always
have
could.
minimum?
No. Just don't muzzle it like that.
Okay,
We do, Chief. and
Weapon
I
of
were
choice,
looking
right?
yeah. Yeah.
Chief and I were looking yesterday, and there is a maximum. You can't kill anything with anything larger than a 10 gauge.
What'd he say?
You can't kill it with anything larger than a 10 gauge,
Okay.
but no maximum on rifles.
Yes, the maximum on rifle, if that bullet diameter is larger than 10 gauge.
Is it like a 50 caliber with a?
Bigger than
20 gauge is 50, 12 gauge is 72, so we're
12 gauge is
talking about,
70.
about an 80 caliber, something like that.
Yeah, it would be.
But in no way, this can never be construed that you could use an air gun during archery season or anything. No way that would ever be construed. No
No, sir.
confusion at all. And that's not been what you've gotten calls on.
No, sir.
Yeah.
Russ,
The primary question was, are they legal to use?
That's, yeah,
Quick, the answer is yes.
it is, yes. Okay. Wow.
all right.
There, any action needed here?
No, so this is informational for y'all, in
So
case you get calls.
are we reposting is there anything to clarify as far as to the public?
We will post this on our
Website.
social, yeah, on our
And social.
media site and website.
Okay. Interesting.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It is interesting, I mean, that was just following the page.
Yeah.
Somebody read that one really close.
Any other
Good, they were
business?
trying to abide by the law, to read it,
Yeah,
and they're concerned, that's good.
Is there any other business?
no other business.
The next commission meeting is set for North Mississippi.
And that's open for discussion.
Well, tell me,
We have not finalized any of that.
okay, but I thought there was another function.
There
Up that
there
way.
is, if we so desire.
Try to get together with the,
You know,
Foundation.
In foundation, inspect the MacGyver shooting range
Yeah.
and have the meeting at Hatchery.
You
Either
okay with
that
that?
or
And then we flip it maybe in, whatever y'all wanna do.
go
I'm
the
open.
coast. Chairman Wagner suggested go to coast one of the.
In September or October?
October would be better.
Let's go in October.
Okay,
Fishing would be better.
so move on. With
So
commission
the
meeting
next
going
commission
on.
meeting will be at the Fish Hatchery. Of course, as far as we know, I don't know that any rules will have changed, but all the COVID, as far as we know, the current COVID rules will apply, so we'll have to
Right.
be careful with all that. But we have a big room there and that type of thing, so, and the museum is back open there, isn't it? The Visitor Center?
It's open, but that room will be limited to 10 people.
Yeah, at this time,
At this
unless
time.
something changes.
Yeah, right.
Okay. Do we feel there is a need for executive session?
There's a need.
Robert, what's the date of that? I guess I missed that.
I'm
Of the
sorry,
next-
it's Wednesday, September the 16th,
Okay.
That's not very far from Cleveland, Cookwood. You
at
can
2
make it.
o'clock.
Can you come pick me up, Bill?
Yeah, I could.
When would the 10th of October meeting tentative date be?
Oh, yeah, we gotta be careful with that.
We haven't said it.
Yeah, we need to look at that. There's a lot starting to happen in October,
Well, that's to be announced.
to be announced. Okay.
Typically, we're the third Thursday
Correct.
or Wednesday.
Yeah, correct. Third week of the month.
We'll have to look at it. But we need to really check everybody's, before we set that, we'll make sure we check everybody's schedule to make sure everybody's clear. 'Cause I know there's a lot cooking in October. All right, so.
There is a need.
Need for executive session?
Yes.
We need a motion to close the meeting.
To
make
determine the need to
determination.
go into executive session, I make that motion.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.